Flat Creek Baptist Church history according to records and tradition. The Flat Creek Baptist Church was organized on the third Sunday of August, 1845, near Flat Creek, about 1 mile east of the present site of Fountain Hill. This was the same year the settlement of Fountain Hill was founded and the Southern Baptist Convention was organized. Bro. V. R. Royal was the first pastor and Bro. Rufus King Denson was the first clerk. The charter membership included slaves. The first building was a log building, 20 by 40 feet, with 2 doors and 2 windows. It was built by the creek. The membership in 1860 had grown to 81, with 64 white and 17 black members. The original building served until 1863 when it was torn down and a small frame building was erected at the present site of the Flat Creek Cemetery, which was 1/2 mile south of the first building site. The second structure served until 1900 when a third building was built. Much of the material from the second structure was used in the third building. The third church building was destroyed by fire in 1920. At that time, it was decided that a more proper and convenient place should be built at the present site. That building underwent several improvements. A new front was added in 1953, and in 1971, it was air-conditioned. The auditorium was remodeled, and new furniture was added in 1972. A new brick structure was built to replace the education building and was used to conduct worship services while the present church was being completed on January 6, 1989. The first service in the new building was conducted on January 22, 1989, by the Reverend Bill Alton. Dedication services were held on April 3, 1989, at 2 p.m. On its 100th birthday, in 1945, the name was changed to First Baptist Church, Fountain Hill, while Bro. Acuff was pastor. The Flat Creek Church was one of 7 churches that organized the Bartholomew Baptist Association on October 17, 1950. Bro. Sterling E. White and Bro. Billy Nichols were messengers to that meeting with instructions from the church to vote the church into the new association. According to Bro. Acuff, this church has one of the longest and richest histories of any church in southeast Arkansas. The above was taken from the pamphlet, A Short History of Flat Creek Fountain Hill, First Baptist Church. A revised copy of that pamphlet has been located which states, the 4th building was removed in the summer of 1988. Construction on the present building began on August 15, 1988, and was completed on January 6, 1989. The first service in the new auditorium was conducted on January 22nd by Reverend Bill Alton. Dedication services are currently scheduled for April 30th, 1989 at 2 p.m. So the little band of families was brought from their encampment at Longview to settle what was to become the first, though temporary, seat of government in Ashley County. One of the first public buildings to go up in the community of Fountain Hill was a church, an index to the character of the early settlers. We are told that there was a bit of friendly rivalry over just where the little log building should be set. There were 2 strong members of the group of settlers, Thomas A. Watkins, grandfather of the late Mrs. Allie Watkins Wood, who passed on this story, and Isaac Denson. Watkins was settled north of Flat Creek, and the Denson clan settled on the south. The problem was on which side to build the church. The matter was settled by placing the little log structure on a mound halfway between the 2 clan homes, on the Watkins side of Flat Creek, 1.5 miles east of the present community of Fountain Hill. That historic structure burned and was rebuilt, this time on the Denson side of the creek on what is now known as Norris Hill. Gordon Hartrick, August 8, 1969, if not insinuated above. One version of the tale is that the Denson clan took strong measures, burned the church, to see that it got situated where it rightfully belonged. That, too, was thought to have been concocted in jest because no difficulties were found to have existed between the 2 families. We still have the community, known as Across the Creek. Therein lies the loop. What happened to the first church building? We have 2 stories. A. It was torn down and a small frame building was erected at the present site of the Flat Creek Cemetery. Per the church on page 150. B. That historic structure burned and was rebuilt on what is now known as Norris Hill. Per Mrs. Allie Watkins Wood on this page. Nathan Isaacs chose to believe Mrs. Wood's story. He said, "Old buildings are not torn down in Arkansas unless something else is to be built on the site. If you don't believe me, drive the roads and see for yourself. They are used for hay barns or goat sheds until they rot down. Even after collapsing, they are not destroyed. They are left to the elements as an eyesore until they just disappear." Mr. Thomas S. Watkins, a charter member, is buried in Flat Creek Cemetery and has many descendants in this area. Some of the pastors are buried in Flat Creek Cemetery. Reverend B.H. Carroll, the third pastor, migrated west with some of the charter members and is buried along with them and others from Fountain Hill in a small Sparks-Denson cemetery at Lampasas, Texas. He has no tombstone, but his grave is enclosed with a low fence constructed with native stone. Two Flat Creek Baptist Church charter members buried there are Isaac Denson and his son, Rufus King Denson, the first church clerk. Other persons from Fountain Hill buried in this 18-grave cemetery are Judge Sparks' brother-in-law, Lampasas County Sheriff, Shade Denson, Mrs. Denson, Elizabeth Sparks, the judge's sister, and his parents, Sarah Dial Sparks, on whose farm this cemetery was established, are also buried there. Mrs. Sparks was Sarah Deal, the Deals being another pioneer family at Fountain Hill. The couple that was issued the first marriage certificate in Ashley County was married by Nathaniel Denson. He was serving as the second pastor of the Flat Creek Baptist Church at the time. Another of its early pastors, Nichols Council Denson, 1912 to 1913, distinguished himself in the Civil War, served as chaplain for both the Arkansas House of Representatives and the State Senate, was elected as moderator of the Bartholomew Baptist Association, and served without interruption for many years. Near the turn of the century, he helped establish, erect a building, and served as the first pastor of the First Baptist Church of Crosset. During World War II, he had a Japanese relocation center, Jerome A.R., named for him, which had a post office, high school, and a non-denominational chapel bearing his name. Former slave enjoys reading farm news. Judge Hill is thought to have been a charter or an early member of the Flat Creek Baptist Church at Fountain Hill, Arkansas. I am always glad when Tuesday and Friday come, so I can hear what is going on in our great Texas. I like the paper, it is fine. I am now past 92 years old. I was born in the state of Georgia, near Atlanta. I had 7 different masters in the space of 12 years. I was sold 5 times and given away 2 times. I was brought to Arkansas and then to Texas the 3rd year of the Civil War. I left my mother at the age of 6 years and have never seen her since. The man who brought me from Georgia to Arkansas was Jim Knight. Here I was sold to Isaac Denson. He in turn gave me to his brother. Semi-weekly farm news, Huntsville, Walker Company, Texas. Note, James Knight is buried in the Mount Olive Cemetery, Ashley Company. A.R. Isaac Denson did not take Judge to Texas. Charter members Flat Creek Baptist Church, Rufus King Denson, 1824 to 1902, circa 1865. Isaac Denson, 1793 to 1875, circa 1850. Isaac Denson, circa 1866. Grave locations of only 3 of the 6 charter members of the Flat Creek Baptist Church are known. Thomas S. Watkins' tombstone at Flat Creek Cemetery has recently been refurbished and looks good for such an old stone. For some reason, at some time over the years, the stone has been reversed to face the west instead of the traditional east. Several writers believe 3 other charter members of the church are buried at Flat Creek. Some family members who grew up here think they are more likely to have been buried at the Norris Hill Cemetery. If any gravestones were ever erected for them, they have been lost or destroyed. They are mentioned in the naming of Fountain Hill, Arkansas. The man on the left was the first clerk of the Flat Creek Baptist Church in 1845. The picture was taken about the time he returned from the Civil War and 20 years after the church was established. He was about 41 years old at the time the picture was taken. The man in the next 2 pictures was the oldest of the church group. Of the other 5 charter members, He was the husband and father-in-law of the two women and the father of two of the men. The first of the two pictures of Isaac was taken about 5 years after the church was established, when he was about 57. The horse and mule population was almost decimated during the Civil War. Because of this, Isaac Denson went to Mexico in 1866, when he was 73 or 74 years of age, to buy horses. This picture was taken in Mexico at that time. It was not determined if his looks were a reflection of his age or if it was from just plain saddle soreness. Regardless of the trail-weary look, this tough old man was apparently responsible for this town being called Fountain Hill. Flat Creek Baptist Church, Fountain Hill, Arkansas. Top row, left to right. George Mears, Irene Mears, Allie Wood, Mary Robinson, Stence Denson, second row. Dora Hester, Leola Simmons, Bessie Denson, Ora Hester Phillips, Arthur Pierce, Adele Hollis. Third row. Sam Brown, John Woods, Ed High, Jim Hester. Below Hester is preacher Effie Bailey, Scott Allreed, Otis Hester, unknown, Addie Simmons, Vera Brooks, Irma Civils. Fourth row, Jeffy Pennington, Alden Hester, Everin Hester, Wiley Powell. Holding Dave Ida, Atlas Pierce, Homer Pierce, Christine Woods, Claudia Brooks, Ruth Mears, Pauline Cooey, Mabel Pierce, Ish Pierce, Lena Mears Pierce, Mrs. Ogletree, Gwyn Pierce, Lena's daughter. Mary Phillips Knight. Below is Korean Hester, Mrs. Ed High, Maggie Hester, Mrs. Jesse Brooks, Odell Civils. Fifth row. Grady Binns, Frank Denson, Bob Civils, Norman Hester, Herbert Boyd, Homer Pierce, unknown, Bruin Woods, Durrell Woods, unknown, Mildred Forrester Hobbs. Sixth row. C.G. Mears, Harold Woods, and Roland Hester. The rest are unknown. Courtesy of Joyce Kaysen, we attain this information via Tim Hollis, who handed us a pamphlet called Fountain Hill, a scrapbook compiled by Frank E. Denson. This is voluminously interesting, and we will be writing several essays based on this information. We will be sharing this information with you over the next several days.